Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, let's talk about attachment wounds that destroy relationships. Now, not all of these are specifically direct attachment wounds, but some of them are symptoms of having an insecure attachment for a long time and feeling empty and feeling lack of motivation or feeling like relationships are not working for you. And so, this is what we're going to talk about today. I think that a lot of people who struggle with attachment issues, it affects other parts of their life that's not always directly relational, but it does end up showing up relational one way or another. And that's important because I think relationships are beneficial to all of us, most of us, based on research. And my dissertation is based on couples and relationships. So obviously, I'm going to focus on that. And we're going to go ahead and jump right in. The first one is actually rehashing, or discussing disagreements over and over and over, not because there's something that you're necessarily feeling for this particular moment you need resolved, but that you tend to feel unresolved or anxious about it overall. Even if that individual did give you some closure, you might not feel like it's what you're looking for. You might not feel like it's enough, or you might feel uncomfortable or afraid of what happens next. And so you may rehash and continue discussing things. And the reason why this can destroy relationships over time is because the other individual becomes overwhelmed, frustrated, they may feel confused, or they might feel like they can never do anything right by you. And that can be pretty frustrating. The next one is shows up more commonly in arguments, but it's actually detaching or pulling away because you feel overwhelmed instead of telling your partner directly what's bothering you, right? So sometimes we can see what we just talked about, number one, and number two kind of working hand in hand, that push pull, because one partner might continuously rehash or want to, they continue to pursue that conversation, and the other person keeps pulling away and detaching because they feel overwhelmed. And this is a very unhealthy cycle, and these together can really destroy relationships. And individuals who are pulling away or detaching because they feel overwhelmed, one thing that can benefit is to just tell your partner directly what's happening or be more communicative of what's going on. The next one is negative views about relationships, maybe the opposite sex, opposite gender or slash sex, family, marriage, and love. So negative views about relationships, the opposite gender, family, marriage, and love, to which often these negative views affect how you perceive your significant other. So for example, if you think all men cheat, there are two difficulties that I want to highlight about this, okay? If you think all men cheat, if your husband cheats on you, you might think that's normal instead of thinking, okay, this is something that's not normal, this is not healthy, I have to leave. Or you might stay away from all men or think all men are cheating on you. And so you're destroying the relationships by looking at it like that. Negativity to avoid relationships, or negativity and you stay in places that are not safe for you. The next one is defining yourself. This one's very specific. Defining yourself as secure and your partner is not. And so that you can say that they need to change instead of you needing to change. Now, if you are secure, this one's a little different. I'm saying if you are insecurely attached, but you think you're not, which is tricky because you might not know necessarily, but it's a moment to take some self-evaluation. Secure folks don't tend to do this as often, where they feel like they are so much more powerful than their partner. They're so much better than their partner because they're secure. Secure people don't necessarily feel like that. And so oftentimes a person who, let's say, they're anxiously attached, they might think they're secure and they feel like, let's say, their partner is a dismissive avoidant. They might say the right thing is what I'm saying, or you should know what I'm saying, or you should know better, etc. They have these thoughts and they're saying this because I'm secure. What I feel is the model of what a relationship is, when in actuality they might be anxiously attached. That's an example. Secure individuals, they may communicate similarly, but it's usually not in a way where they feel like the other person is withholding or not changing, or they're trying to change their mind. They're saying it for themselves. I don't think that's healthy. I've never seen things like that. I'm not trying to pick on you. This is just what I see. What's the reason you're shutting down? Can we talk about it? That's usually much more of what a secure person would say in that scenario. The next one is lack of purpose. Like I had mentioned, not all of these are directly attachment correlated, but the reason why this can affect relationships and why it's more common with insecurely attached individuals is insecurely attached individuals have trauma. And so when they're younger, they didn't see the purpose as instilled because a lot of times their life was not necessarily as happy or as focused on themselves and building who they are, but sometimes focusing on other people in their life. And why this can affect relationships is lack of purpose actually makes the individual feel that there is not as much value for them. And so that can affect how you perceive your partner. You can lean on them too heavily, or you can avoid people because you feel like you're not enough, or you feel like you don't have enough of a purpose to translate onto others. So you might almost feel like you're a burden. And that's how lack of purpose, at least one angle, how it can affect and destroy relationships. And it starts from a detachment from yourself, actually, and that can bleed onto relationships. The next one is comparing your partner to others. A lot of people who are insecurely attached, they are with another person who's insecurely attached, and they may compare their partner and wanting someone who is more secure. And being secure is the gold standard of relationships. A lot of people know that. But at the same time, there's other ways to communicate that you feel like your partner is not doing what is beneficial to them instead of comparing them to other individuals. You can highlight, I feel like this is unhealthy for whatever reason. You have to fill in the blank about that. And you can mention, I wish that we could work on it, or I wish that we could talk about it because it's very overwhelming on my side, whatever it may be. But comparing and saying, my best friend's husband is, so understanding of her. You always shut down. This is frustrating. You can say it in a different way, right? The next one is holding things, not holding, kind of like using things against them that they told you in confidence, right? And that could be actually holding things until you feel like you're angry, then you just throw it at them. And people do this a lot. I see this happen a lot in couples therapy, and it really, really affects marriages and relationships because the person does not trust you any longer. It's true. And then you seem to be somebody who can be destabilized very easily, or when you're angry or hurt, you really go for the weaker areas of a person. And so a person will feel uncomfortable showing you vulnerability if you do that. And a lot of people who are anxious or fearful avoidant tend to do this, but I have seen dismissive avoidants do this too. And usually with dismissive avoidants, it's because they are, how do I even put this? They feel backed up in a corner and they're trying to basically make you stop whatever you're doing. And it's not healthy. A lot of them who do this particularly, they struggle with anger. And then with anxious, preoccupied, or a fearful avoidant that might do this, sometimes it's because they feel like they're so hurt and you're not listening to them. There's a part of them that feels like if you understood how much hurt they're feeling by them doing this, you will understand you would hear them better. So it's almost like they're getting a reaction out of you because they feel like you're not listening at all. That's a very light way of putting it. There's so many layers to it. I'm not making excuses for this behavior. I'm just telling you what's happening. And then the last one, more common with people who are avoidantly attached actually, but it can happen with any attachment style if they take external stress out onto you. And this is, again, not necessarily an attachment issue, but more common with those who are insecurely attached. So let's summarize and we'll wrap it up. Rehashing or discussing disagreements over and over, more common with anxious and fearful. The next one is pulling away or detaching because you feel overwhelmed, more common with dismissive or fearful. The next one is negative views about relationships, the opposite gender, family, marriage, and love. Can be with any attachment style, but a little bit more common with dismissive avoidance. Defining yourself as secure and your partner is not, to say they need to change. I've seen this with pretty much every attachment style. Slightly more common with anxious, preoccupied. Lack of purpose. Seen that with pretty much every attachment style. Comparing partner to others. I have seen this with every attachment style, but slightly more common with anxious, preoccupied. Holding things against your partner and then throwing it out when it's the, I guess, most beneficial time to yourself, where you're kind of trying to get a reaction out of them. Seen this with every attachment style. And then taking out external stress onto your partner, a little bit more common with dismissive avoidant. I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.